Ever wondered why good people experience suffering? This is a question that has puzzled humanity for centuries, and it's a theme that the book of 1 Peter addresses head-on. Peter, the author, writes this letter in a time of great turmoil. He's speaking to a group of Christians who are facing intense persecution for their faith. They're good people trying to lead righteous lives, yet they're subjected to harsh trials and tribulations. It's in this context that Peter explores the concept of suffering. He doesn't shy away from it, nor does he sugarcoat it. Instead, he presents suffering as an integral part of the Christian journey. It's not something to be feared or avoided, but rather an experience that shapes and refines us. As we delve deeper into 1 Peter, we'll explore how suffering is not an anomaly but a part of the Christian journey. Chapter 1 of 1. Peter sets the stage for a deep exploration of faith amidst trials. This chapter introduces us to a powerful call to holiness. It urges us to live in obedience and reverence, to set ourselves apart from the worldly desires that wage war against our souls. It's a call that challenges us to rise above the mundane and embrace a life of purpose. The chapter then introduces the concept of an imperishable inheritance, a divine promise that awaits believers. Unlike worldly riches that fade and decay, this inheritance is eternal, untarnished, and unfading, held in heaven for us. It's a promise that fuels our hope and gives us the courage to endure. Lastly, we see the power of faith during trials. The chapter affirms that trials may come, but they serve to refine our faith, making it more precious than gold. The first chapter of 1 Peter gives us a glimpse into the journey of faith, setting the stage for the chapters to follow. Moving on to the second chapter of 1 Peter, it's time to delve into the concept of spiritual growth. This chapter invites us into a deeper understanding of our spiritual journey, emphasizing the importance of maturing in faith. Here we encounter the metaphor of Christ as the cornerstone, the essential foundation upon which our spiritual life is built. Christ is depicted not just as a guide, but as the very bedrock of our faith. Furthermore, chapter 2 calls upon us to be representatives of God, to carry His light into the world. This isn't a passive role, it's an active engagement with the world around us, living out our faith in tangible, meaningful ways. We're not merely observers, but participants in a divine narrative, invited to bring God's love and grace into every corner of our lives and the lives of those we encounter. Chapter 2 lays the foundations for spiritual growth and the believer's role in representing God's kingdom. Chapter 3 of 1, Peter explores the dynamics of relationships in a believer's life. As we delve into this chapter, we find the Apostle Peter offering guidance to husbands and wives. He encourages them to honor and respect each other and to live together with understanding. He emphasizes the value of inner beauty, which is incorruptible and precious in the eyes of God. The chapter also calls all believers to unity and love, urging us to be compassionate and humble. We're reminded that we should not repay evil with evil or insult with insult, but rather with blessing. This blessing, we find, is not just for ourselves but for others as well. Finally, we encounter a profound truth: the blessing of suffering for righteousness. Peter assures us that if we suffer for doing what is right, we are blessed. It is better, he says, to suffer for doing good, if that should be God's will, than for doing evil. Through chapter 3, we learn about the importance of love, unity, and righteousness in a believer's life. Chapter 4 of 1. Peter provides a profound exploration of Christian living. As we delve into the depths of this chapter, we encounter a clear call to cease from sin. It's not a gentle nudge, but a strong admonishment, urging us to abandon our past lives of sin and to live the rest of our earthly lives for the will of God. This isn't a call for perfection, but for a conscious and continuous effort to move away from our sinful desires and towards God's will. The chapter then transitions into the importance of love and hospitality. We're reminded that love covers a multitude of sins. This isn't a license to sin freely, but rather an encouragement to love deeply, knowing that our love for one another can bring healing and forgiveness. Alongside this, we're called to be hospitable to one another without grumbling. Hospitality, we find, is not a chore, but a joyful expression of our love for each other. And then we come to a seemingly paradoxical encouragement to rejoice in suffering. It's a reminder that as Christians, we share in Christ's sufferings and that joy can be found even in the midst of our trials. It's a call to look beyond our present struggles and look forward to the glory that will be revealed. Chapter 4 provides us with a practical guide for Christian living, pointing us towards love, hospitality, and joy amidst suffering. As we conclude with Chapter 5 of 1 Peter, we gain insight into leadership and resilience in faith. Chapter 5 holds an invaluable lesson for leaders, particularly the elders. Peter urges them to shepherd God's flock willingly and eagerly, not out of obligation or for personal gain. He emphasizes the importance of leading by example, embodying the values they wish to instill in others. This leadership style is not about exerting power, but about serving with humility and grace. Humility, in fact, is a recurring theme in this chapter. Peter reminds us that God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. He encourages us to cast all our anxieties on Him, trusting that His strength will carry us through. The act of surrendering our worries, acknowledging our limitations, and placing our trust in God is a true testament of humility. Finally, Peter calls us to stand firm in our faith. He reminds us that we are not alone in our struggles, that our brothers and sisters across the globe are facing the same hardships. He encourages us to resist the devil, firm in our faith, and promises that after we have suffered a little while, God Himself will restore us and make us strong, firm, and steadfast. 1 Peter concludes with a powerful message of humility, resilience, and steadfast faith.